What's up everyone, welcome back to another video. It's blowing pretty hard offshore today, so I'm gonna do a video that you guys have requested, just how I make the different rigs that I use to bottom fish with offshore. I'm gonna do 5 rigs in this video: the knocker rig, the fish finder rig, chicken rig, 3-way swivel, and then a fish finder with a sliding weight. So let's jump right into it. Alright, so let's start off with our most simple rig, the knocker rig. Before we get into that, this is my favorite rod and reel setup here. This is a Penn Slammer 6500 spinning reel with 50-pound braid on it to a Penn Carnage 3 jigging rod. And this is probably one of the most versatile offshore setups I have, where you can bottom fish, but also you see a cobia or something, cast at it. So that's what I use for grouper snapper and pretty much everything else when I use a spinning reel offshore. So we've got our knocker rig here. So we're gonna start with our braid right here, and we're gonna tie our braid to our swivel right here. And I always say about knots, tie whatever knot you tie best. I'm gonna tie what I call a tuna knot. So it's pretty much double overhand loop knot, like this. So to tie this, and this is what I use mainly for a lot, I loop over my line like so. And I've caught a lot of very big fish with this knot, and it has not broken yet. So pull the braid through the swivel, and we want to twist it 5 times. Then we're going to come back down twice the other way, twisting it. And we're going to feed it through right here on the bottom of the loop. I don't know if you can see that. This is probably the most challenging part of the knot, but it's also what makes it the most secure, right? If you feed it through the bottom. Right. Then all you do is you cinch it down, pull it tight, and this is what you're left with right here. So this is the first step to making our knocker rig. We're going to trim off the tag ends. We've got our 2 tag ends right here. Now we've got our main line, our braid, mono or whatever you're using, tied to our swivel. Now after that, we're going to tie our leader to our swivel. And I'm using a 125-pound leader just for this video so you can see it better, but typically I would use 40, 60, or 80 when I'm fishing offshore. So now this one, we're just going to tie a clinch knot to, just for the sake of the video. Right here. All right, we've got our leader on. And yeah, I would tie a clinch knot or that tuna knot again if your test is light enough, if you're using 40, 60, or 80. All right, now we've got 6 feet off of here. We've got 6 feet of line coming off of our swivel. We've got the tag end that we trimmed off. So far it's looking like this. We've got our braid tied to our swivel, tied to our leader. Now we are gonna go with our weight. So this is a 6-ounce weight. We're gonna feed our line, our leader through there, and we're gonna tie it directly to our hook. This is a 5.0 BKK circle hook. One of the best hooks you can use fishing offshore. Absolutely love BKK hooks. So because we're using heavier leader, we're just gonna have to tie a clinch knot like this. But using lighter leader, you can always snell it. I'll show you how to do that on another one of the rigs. So we've got our rig completed. Let's see right here what it looks like. We'll close our bail. I'm gonna show you. So this is a knocker rig, one of the simplest rigs to make when you're offshore fishing. Right here. you've got your braid tied to your swivel, then your leader going through the eye of your egg sinker and tied directly to the hook. Like so. And that's what you're left with. Let's move on to the next one. Alright, let's start off with our second rig here. We are going to make our fish finder rig, and I'm kind of going with the least complicated rigs and the simplest rigs to a little more complicated towards we get to the end of the video, and they all have different applications, right, when you're bottom fishing. So we are feeding our braid through our egg sinker. We're using a 6-ounce egg sinker here. And then we're going to tie our tuna knot to our swivel. And I'll keep saying this is just the knot that I tie. Tie whatever knot you tie best. Whatever one you're the most comfortable tying that you can do very easily, that's strong. But I'm using what I call the tuna knot. Very strong. I've caught many, many big fish with this knot. All right. Now we've got our egg sinker tied with our braid. We're going to tie our 6-foot section of leader on. Of course, when you do it too fast, you can mess it up. And I tie all my rigs beforehand, before I go out fishing, so they're all rigged and ready for the boat. Some people don't like that. They don't like the tension, you know, sitting there overnight. They want to tie them on their way out, good for you. But when you're rigging up 10 rods, it's not feasible to do that for me. All right, now we've got our leader. We're going to tie the other end to our hook. Alright, let's cinch it down. And this is the rig that you are left with right here. So, show you it. Here it is. We've got our weight sitting at the top above our swivel, attached to our leader. I think so, our 6 feet of leader. Like this. This weight's gonna sit on the bottom, and then the bait's gonna, if it's live, it's gonna swim. It'll swim up like this, or if it's dead, it's just gonna float around on the bottom. Now, let's make what I'm gonna call a 3-way swivel rig. There's different names for it, right? Some call this thing a chicken rig, but we're gonna start with our main line, our braid, tied to a 3-way swivel, like so. And I see this rig being used a lot for mutton snapper fishing. If you don't want to clip on and off the weight, like down in the Keys, like a lot of people will use this rig. So we're gonna start with our tuna knot. Now we've got our braid attached to our 3-way swivel. And then you'll notice you've got 2 branches or swivels coming off the 3-way swivel, hence the name 3-way, right? Once we get all the tag ends chopped off here, you got 3. So one of them is going to go down with leader attached to the weight, and the other one's going to be a leader attached to hook, and that's how they call it a 3-way swivel. So I'm going to start with a 6-foot section of leader. And tie it to one of our loops or circles or whatever they're called on this three-way swivel. Gotta trim this tag in a little bit more because it's not straight. Alright, so we've got a piece of leader hanging off our three-way swivel. And then you can either make a dropper loop on this with a surgeon's loop, which is you just double over the line here, create a loop, and then go through the hole, and then go another loop, like so. That's what I call a surgeon's loop. And then you put, or you can tie your weight directly to it. And then you've got your weight hanging off this end, like so. And then with the third loop, that's where you're gonna tie your leader to. And one of the purposes of this rig is you can use a really long leader, like for mud snapper fishing, you can use 30, 40, 50 feet of leader because you can literally choose how long you wanna make your leader. So for this video, we're gonna do about a 6-foot section of leader. So, we're going to tie our leader to the third swivel. For the purpose of this video, we'll do a 6-foot section. I'm going to tie it to a 5/0 hook, but you can play around and kind of do whatever depending on your targeting. A general rule of thumb for me is if you're going for grouper, you want a bigger hook like a 7/0 or a 9/0 or bigger. If you're going for snapper, you want something smaller because they have a smaller mouth. So like a 3/0 or a 5/0 or maybe even like a 7/0 for red snapper. All right. Now we've got our rig right here. All right, so this is what the rig looks like when it's completed. Got our braid coming to a three-way swivel. One branch going to our weight with the surgeon's loop, and the other branch going to our hook. There you go. All right, now what we're gonna tie what we call the sliding fish finder rig. It's probably a better word for it, but this is just what I call it. So we're gonna put our swivel through our braid, and then get ready to tie our swivel onto our braid. All right. Alright, now that we've got our braid tied, like so. Trim off the tag ends. Now this is what we are left with. You've got your swivel, kind of like this, that slides up and down your line, like so. Now from here, we're gonna tie a section of leader to this swivel right here, okay? All right, now we're gonna cut off 6-foot section of leader. so. Alright, now we're going to tie another surgeon's loop and tie our weight to it. This is kind of more of an advanced fish finder rig. It works better, but it's a little more complicated to tie. And it doesn't get tangled up as easy like the egg sinker does. Okay, so we go ahead and put our weight through. Like so. So you should be left with this. We've got our braid going to our swivel, and then we got another swivel right here. So if you kind of visualize it, the weight can slide back and forth down the braid. All right, now to finish her up, we're gonna tie our leader onto the other end of our swivel, and then to our hook, like so. Alright. Trim off our tag end. Alright. However you can visualize it, this is what it looks like. You've got your weight attached to your swivel that can kind of slide along your braid, and then you've got your swivel attached to your leader and your hook on one end. Yeah, another nice rig. Alright, I saved the best for last. We've got our chicken rig here. We're going to tie with our 40-pound Seaguar. And chicken rig is great because you can put as many hooks as you want onto it, right? You want to go 6 hooks with a chicken rig, you can totally do it. I'll show you how that works. So I'm going to tie an Alberto knot. You can also tie an FG or an FJ. Probably not the right person to teach you guys knots. So if you're looking for an Alberto knot tying video, this probably isn't the one, but we're going to create a loop here with our leader. We're going to feed through a section of our line. And we're going to twist it about 8 to 10 times. And then I hold the end of it down. Wrap it back around and then pull it through the loop. And this is the tricky part. You kind of got to get tension on both ends and pull them tight. Feed them down like so. So that's what you're left with your Alberto knot right there. Very strong knot. Like I said, if you want to tie the FG, go for it, but I use the Alberto when I tie my chicken rigs. Frankly, it's easier and less time consuming, but if you know how to tie an FJ or an FG, go for it. All right, now that we've got our braid tied to our leader, we're gonna rip off a pretty long section, like 20 feet, 15, 20 feet or so. So we're gonna go and get that out. Now I'm going to cut off the end of it. So you're left with just a long strip of leader here. At the bottom, we're going to do our surgeon's loop, like so. And this, by the way, this is the rig I probably use the most out of all my rigs, just because it's easy and it's versatile. I'll show you at the end why I like using it, especially down here in the fall. All right, we got our surgeon's loop, so we're going to tie our weight to it. Got our weight on the bottom here. Then we're gonna come up a couple feet and start tying our loops. So we're gonna go like this. And you wanna pinch 2 fingers on either side of the loop after you doubled it over. And then twist the top sections of it about 5 or 6 times. And then with your 2 fingers, you want to pull the bottom section through like this. And then you got to grab it with your teeth. And boom. Left with a loop right here. That's what you're left with. And then you put your hook through your doubled over line. Remember, this isn't really the strongest connection here. You can crimp any of this if you want. So, all right, we've got our hook, like so. And I mean, the cool thing about this, like I mentioned, is you can tie as many of these loops as you want. You can do 4 hooks if you want. So yeah, this is the chicken rig, and one of the cool things about it is you can just swap off this weight at any point. Say you see a mahi or a cobia swimming, all you have to do is take off this weight and you've got a flat line hanging off of it. That's one of the best things about it, about the chicken rig. You can also tie it without the Alberto knot and just use a swivel going to it. So yeah, those are the 5 rigs I use offshore bottom fishing. Let me know what you guys think, and we'll see you on Tuesday.